The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was silent. 200 different alien species sat in their floating seats, all watching Ambassador Taman as he stood at the center podium. His blue skin looked pale under the bright lights. His arms shook as he held the ancient data pad. Taman had seen many terrible things in his long life. He had watched planets burn. He had seen entire star systems go dark. But nothing scared him more than what he was about to tell the Council today. Fellow beings, Taman began, his voice echoing through the massive chamber. Today marks exactly 300 years since humanity first contacted our galaxy. 300 years since we made the greatest mistake in galactic history. A low murmur went through the crowd. Some aliens shifted nervously in their seats. Others looked down at their hands or claws or tentacles. Everyone knew what was coming next. In the front row, Hyojin sat perfectly still. She was old, even for a Kalanthari. Her long life had been spent keeping the galaxy's most dangerous secrets. As the keeper of galactic records, she knew every detail of humanity's first contact. She had hoped she would never have to speak about it again. Many of you were not alive then, Taman continued. You do not remember what happened when the humans first asked to join our council. We looked at their planet. We saw their primitive technology. We watched their violent history, and we said no. The silence grew heavier. Every being in the hall knew this story, but hearing it spoken aloud still made their blood run cold. We told them they were too savage, too barbaric, too dangerous to join civilized society. We refused their application for membership. We thought we were protecting the galaxy from violent primitives. Taman's voice cracked. He paused and took a deep breath before continuing. We were fools. The ambassador touched a control on his podium. A holographic display appeared above his head. It showed a star map of the outer rim, where the first human colony ship had been traveling 3 centuries ago. The Zephyrian Empire saw the humans as easy prey. A colony ship with 200 souls heading for an empty world. The Zephyrians sent their 3rd fleet to capture them. 50,000 ships, the most powerful war fleet in that sector. The hologram changed. Now it showed the sleek, silver ships of the Zephyrian Empire surrounding a single, crude-looking human vessel. The Zephyrians were not cruel beings. They planned to take the humans as slaves, nothing more. They thought it would be simple. The human ship was old. It had no weapons that their sensors could detect. 200 primitives against 50,000 of the galaxy's finest warriors. Hyojin closed her eyes. She had watched the battle recording so many times that she could see them even when she slept. Sometimes she still woke up screaming. The human ship was commanded by Captain Do-hyun, Taman said. When the Zephyrians demanded his surrender, he asked for 1 hour to discuss it with his crew. 1 hour. The Zephyrians, being honorable, agreed. The hologram showed the timeline. 1 hour. 60 minutes. It seemed like nothing. In that 1 hour, the humans did something impossible. They hacked into the Zephyrian communication network. They learned their language. They studied their ship designs. They analyzed their military tactics, and then Taman's voice dropped to a whisper. The entire hall leaned forward to hear him. They reprogrammed every weapon system in the Zephyrian fleet. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Some of the younger aliens had never heard this part before. They looked shocked. When the hour was up, Captain Do-hyun sent a message to the Zephyrian admiral. He said, "We respectfully decline your offer of slavery. Please leave our space." The admiral laughed. He gave the order to attack. The hologram showed what happened next. The 50,000 Zephyrian ships moved forward, their weapons powered up, and then, suddenly they all turned and fired on each other. The humans had turned their own weapons against them. Ships that had been allies for decades began destroying each other. The Zephyrians tried to shut down their weapons, but the humans had locked them out of their own systems. In the council chamber, a young Altarian diplomat raised his hand. But surely some ships escaped? 50,000 vessels. Taman shook his head slowly. 6 hours. That is how long the battle lasted. When it was over, 49,000 Zephyrian ships were destroyed. The remaining 1,000 had been captured intact, their crews taken prisoner. The young diplomat's face went white. Impossible. The humans did not stop there, Taemin continued. Captain Do-hyun sent a message to the Zephyrian homeworld. He told them that their fleet had been defeated but their crews were alive and unhurt. He offered to return both the ships and the prisoners in exchange for a formal apology and a promise never to attack human civilians again. Hai-jin finally spoke up from her seat. Her voice was ancient and tired. The Zephyrians agreed immediately. They were terrified. Their most powerful fleet had been defeated by a single primitive ship. They could not understand how it was possible. Neither could we, Taemin admitted. When news of the battle reached the council, we thought there had been some mistake, some kind of accident. We sent investigators. The hologram changed again. Now it showed council ships arriving at the battle site. They found the wreckage of 49,000 vessels floating in space. The human colony ship sat peacefully among the debris, completely undamaged. Our investigators interviewed the Zephyrian survivors. They all told the same impossible story. The humans had somehow learned everything about their technology and tactics in 1 hour. Then they had turned that knowledge against them. But we still did not understand the true danger, Hijin added. We thought it was luck, or perhaps some unknown technology. We did not realize what we were truly dealing with. Taemin nodded grimly. It took many more battles before we understood. The humans were not just lucky. They were not using some secret weapon. They were doing something far more terrifying. He paused and looked around the chamber. Every eye was on him. They were learning. The word hung in the air like a curse. Learning. Such a simple concept. Every species could learn. But not like this. Never like this. Every time someone fought them, the humans got better. They studied their enemies. They copied their tactics. They improved on their strategies. And they never ever forgot what they learned. The chamber erupted in frightened whispers. Old memories surfaced. Ancient fears came flooding back. Every species in the galaxy had heard the stories. Most had hoped they were just legends. Taemin raised his hand for silence. That was 300 years ago. Since then, 17 different species have made the mistake of fighting humanity. 17 civilizations have learned what the Zephyrians learned that day. His voice grew cold and hard. Never fight the humans. Never threaten them. Never give them a reason to see you as an enemy. Because if you do, you will not survive the lesson they teach you. The great hall of the Galactic Council fell silent once more. Outside the windows, the stars shined peacefully. Somewhere among those stars, humanity continued to grow and spread, and the galaxy watched them with fearful respect, praying that the humans would never realize just how terrifying they truly were. Dr. Chan-woo could not sleep. For weeks, the same question kept spinning in his mind. How did the humans do it? How did they learn so fast? As a Kalanthari historian, Chan-woo had studied warfare for over 200 years. He had analyzed every major battle in galactic history. He understood tactics and strategy better than most generals. But humanity's military successes made no sense to him. His research assistant, So Young, found him in his office again at dawn. She was young for a Kalanthari, only 60 years old. Her green scales still shined with youth. But she was brilliant, and Chan-woo trusted her completely. "Professor, you need to rest," So Young said, setting a cup of warm tea on his desk. "You have been working for 3 days straight." Chan-woo looked up from his computer screen. His old eyes were red and tired. "I cannot rest, So Young. The answer is here somewhere. It has to be." "What answer?" "How they do it. How the humans learn so fast. How they turn every battle into a victory, even when they should lose." So Young sat down across from his desk. She had been helping him research human military history for months. The more they learned, the more confused they became. "Perhaps we are looking at this wrong," she suggested. "Maybe we should not study their victories. Maybe we should study their defeats." Chan-woo laughed bitterly. "What defeats? The humans have never lost a war. They have never lost a major battle. In 300 years, they have never even retreated unless it was part of their strategy." "That cannot be true. Show me one example. Find me one battle where humanity was truly defeated." So Young was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "What about the Thargoid War? The Thargoids conquered half the galaxy before the humans arrived. Surely they must have won some battles." Chan Wu's eyes lit up. "Yes, the Thargoids. They were the greatest military power in galactic history. If anyone could defeat humanity, it would be them." He started typing rapidly on his computer. The Thargoid War had happened 200 years ago. Most of the records were classified, stored in the restricted archives on Omega Station. "So Young, prepare a travel request. We are going to Omega Station." "Professor, those archives are restricted. We would need special permission." "Then we will get it. This is too important to ignore." 3 weeks later, Chan Wu and So Young stood in the depths of Omega Station's archive center. The walls were lined with data storage units containing millions of classified files. The air was cold and still. Security drones floated silently overhead, watching their every move. A tall, thin archivist named Keptar led them to a secure viewing room. His 6 arms moved efficiently as he entered access codes and security clearances. "You have been granted access to the Thargoid War records," he said in his clicking language. "But remember, nothing you see here can be shared without council approval." "We understand," Chan Wu replied. Keptar left them alone in the room. Chan Wu and So Young looked at the massive collection of files on the viewing screen. Battle reports, tactical analyses, ship recordings, survivor interviews, thousands of documents. "Where do we start?" So Young asked. "The beginning, the first time humans encountered the Thargoids. They found the file quickly. The Battle of Kepler Station. Admiral Kyung-soo commanding 30 human ships against 10,000 Thargoid vessels." Chan Wu felt his heart sink as he read the numbers. 30 ships against 10,000. The humans should have been slaughtered. "Look at this," So Young said, pointing to a tactical display. The Thargoids were using their standard battle formation, the hammer and anvil. It had never failed them before. The hammer and anvil was famous throughout the galaxy. The Thargoids would send a large force to attack directly while smaller groups flanked the enemy from both sides. Simple, effective, and unstoppable. They had used it to conquer over 5,000 star systems. "Let me find the battle recording," Chan Wu said. The holographic display activated. Suddenly, they were watching the battle as if they were there. 10,000 sleek black Thargoid ships moved in perfect formation through space. Facing them, 30 small human vessels that looked like toys in comparison. "The humans are doomed," So Young whispered. But then something strange happened. As the Thargoid fleet approached, the human ships began to move. Not randomly, but in a pattern that looked almost familiar. "Wait," Chan Wu said. "Pause the recording." He studied the human formation carefully. Then his eyes went wide. "So Young, do you see what they are doing? They are copying the Thargoid formation." "Exactly. But look closer. What are they doing differently?" So Young watched the human ships more carefully. Then she gasped. "They are improving it. The human formation is tighter, more efficient. They have fixed the weak spots in the Thargoid design. Play it forward, slowly." The battle continued. The Thargoids attacked with their usual tactics, expecting to crush the humans easily. But the humans responded with something impossible. They used Thargoid tactics, but better. Every Thargoid move was countered perfectly. Every Thargoid strategy was turned against them. "How are they doing this?" So Young asked. "They have never fought Thargoids before. How do they know their tactics?" Chan Wu paused the recording again. "Look at the timeline. How long has this battle been going on?" 17 minutes. 17 minutes. In 17 minutes, the humans learned 2,000 years of Thargoid military doctrine. They analyzed it, understood it, and improved on it. They watched the rest of the battle in stunned silence. The humans moved like Thargoids, but with human unpredictability. They used Thargoid formations, but with human innovation. Every few minutes, they would try something new, something the Thargoids had never seen before. The Thargoid fleet, which had never tasted defeat, was completely outmatched. Their own tactics were used against them. Their own strategies were turned into weapons pointed at their hearts. Fast forward to the end. Chanwu said quietly. When the battle was over, all 10,000 Thargoid ships were either destroyed or captured. The 30 human vessels remained, damaged but victorious. So Young was shaking. This is impossible. No species can learn that fast. Chanwu found another file, a communication from Admiral Kyung-soo to his superiors after the battle. "Listen to this," he said, and played the recording. The Admiral's voice was calm and professional. Battle concluded successfully. Enemy tactics analyzed and catalogued. We now understand Thargoid military doctrine completely. Recommend immediate distribution of tactical data to all human fleet commanders. We will not be surprised by these formations again. Not be surprised again? So Young repeated. Professor, they learned everything in one battle. Everything the Thargoids knew about warfare. Chanwu was reading through more files. His face grew pale. So Young, look at this. Every battle after Kepler Station, the humans use Thargoid tactics against other Thargoid fleets. But each time they are better. Each time they add something new. They are not just learning, So Young realized. They are evolving. Every battle makes them smarter. Chanwu found one more recording. Another message from Admiral Kyung-soo, sent near the end of the war. To all enemy commanders, the Admiral's voice said calmly. We want you to understand something. We don't just learn your ways of war, we learn why you fight. We learn how you think. We learn what you fear. And then we become everything you never prepared for. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Continue fighting, and we will show you how much we have learned from your own mistakes. The recording ended. Chanwu and So Young sat in silence for a long moment. Professor, So Young finally said, I think I understand why the galaxy fears them. Why? Because they don't just defeat their enemies. They become better than their enemies at their own game. They take everything their opponents know and use it against them. Chanwu nodded slowly. The humans are not just warriors, So Young. They are the ultimate students. Every enemy that fights them teaches them something new, and the humans never forget those lessons. He looked at the thousands of other files they had not yet examined, hundreds of battles, dozens of wars, all won by humanity. We need to see more, he said. We need to understand how deep this goes. But deep in his heart, Chanwu was beginning to suspect that no amount of research would truly explain humanity's gift. Some abilities were too dangerous to fully understand. Some secrets were too frightening to completely uncover. Outside the archive room, the security drones continued their silent patrol, and in the depths of space, human fleets continued their expansion, carrying with them the collected military knowledge of every species foolish enough to fight them. The alarm rang through the human command ship like the sound of death itself. Commander Minho stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display with calm eyes. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. No one was panicking. No one was afraid. They should have been terrified. On the display, 10 million synthesis ships filled the void of space. The machines had come to destroy all organic life in the galaxy, and they had brought enough firepower to burn every world in known space. Sir, reported Captain Yunji from her position at the tactical station. Synthesis fleet deployment is complete. They are using formation pattern Omega-7, classic machine logic, perfect mathematical spacing, no wasted movement. Minho nodded. The synthesis were machine intelligences. They thought in pure logic. Every decision was calculated. Every move was efficient. Every battle plan was mathematically perfect. That was exactly what Minho had been hoping for. Yunji, how many ships do we have? 3,000, sir. All human crews. Good. Open a channel to all ships. The communication system crackled to life. Minho's voice reached every human vessel in the fleet. Attention all ships. Today we face an enemy that thinks it knows everything. The machines believe they can predict our every move. They have calculated every possible strategy we might use. They have prepared for every logical response. He paused, looking around at his bridge crew. They were all smiling now. It was not a nice smile. Fortunately for us, we are not going to be logical. Today we are going to show the machines what happens when perfect order meets beautiful chaos. All ships implement the Madman Protocol. Across the human fleet, combat computers switched to a new tactical system. Instead of logical battle plans, the Madman Protocol used random number generators. Instead of careful strategy, it used pure improvisation. Instead of trying to make sense, it tried to make no sense at all. "Sir," Yunji said, her smile growing wider. "All ships report ready to commence insanity." Minho laughed. "Then let us begin. All ships attack pattern." Surprise me. The human fleet moved forward, but they did not move like any military force in galactic history. Some ships flew straight at the enemy. Others went sideways. A few flew backwards while shooting forward. One ship actually began spinning in circles while its crew sang an ancient Earth song called Ring Around the Rosie. The synthesis fleet responded exactly as their programming demanded. They calculated the human movements. They analyzed the attack patterns. They prepared counter-strategies for every possible human tactic. But there was no pattern. There was no tactic. The humans were doing everything wrong, and somehow it was working. Ship Commander Sujin watched from her vessel as chaos erupted around her. Her orders were simple. Do something that made absolutely no sense, and then make it work somehow. She decided to ram her ship directly into a synthesis dreadnought. Any sane commander would call this suicide. Sujin called it Tuesday. At the last second, she activated her ship's teleporter systems. Her vessel vanished just before impact, reappearing directly behind the enemy formation. The synthesis ships, which had calculated for the collision, suddenly found themselves shooting at empty space while a human ship appeared in their rear and began destroying them from behind. "Outstanding work, Sujin," Minho's voice came over the communication system. "That made no sense whatsoever. I approve completely." Across the battle zone, similar scenes played out. Human ships did impossible things. They used their own weapons against themselves and somehow turned it into an advantage. They flew directly into asteroid fields and used the rocks as cover. One creative captain actually convinced a synthesis ship to shoot its own allies by pretending to surrender and then broadcasting false surrender messages in machine language. The synthesis could not adapt. Their perfect logic had prepared them for every possible scenario except this one, an enemy that did not follow any scenario at all. Commander Minho studied the tactical display as the battle continued. The machine formation was breaking apart. Their perfect mathematical spacing was becoming confused. Ships that had been positioned with calculated precision were now scattered across the battlefield, trying to respond to human attacks that changed every few seconds. "Status report," he called to his bridge crew. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we have lost 400 ships." "And the enemy?" "They have lost 3 million ships, sir. Their formation is in complete disarray." Minho frowned. "Only 3 million. We can do better than that. All ships, new orders. I want every captain to do the stupidest thing they can think of, and then I want them to do something even stupider." The order went out across the human fleet. The response was immediate and beautiful. Captain Boram decided to land her ship on an enemy dreadnought and fight her way to the bridge on foot. It should have been impossible. Spaceships were not designed for surface combat. But Boram did not care about what should be possible. She crashed through the hull, led a boarding party through the machine ship's corridors, and captured the entire vessel in 20 minutes. "How did you do that?" Minho asked her over the communication system. "I asked the machine crew to surrender politely," Boram replied while eating a sandwich on the captured bridge. They were so confused by the request that they forgot to shoot back. Another captain decided that his ship was lonely, so he began collecting disabled enemy vessels with his tractor beam. Soon he was dragging a dozen synthesis ships behind him like a strange metal tail. When the enemy tried to target him, they had to shoot through their own captured ships. The battle raged for hours, but it was not really a battle anymore. It had become something else entirely. It was a demonstration, a lesson, an art form. The humans turned warfare into performance art. Every move was improvised, every tactic was invented on the spot. Every victory came from doing exactly the wrong thing at exactly the right moment, and the machines could not cope. Their programming had no response to chaos. Their logic could not process randomness. Their calculations became meaningless when the humans refused to follow any mathematical rules. Slowly, the great synthesis fleet began to retreat. 10 million perfect war machines defeated by 3,000 humans who had decided to fight like children playing a game. But the humans were not finished. All ships, Minho announced. The enemy is retreating. This means they have learned something, today. We cannot allow them to take that knowledge back to their homeworld. Sir, Yunji asked, are you suggesting we pursue 10 million ships with our remaining 2,000? I am suggesting something much more interesting than that, Captain. I am suggesting we chase them home and teach their entire civilization what we have taught them today. The human fleet turned to follow the retreating machines. They did not pursue like a normal military force. Instead, they began playing games. Racing games. Tag, hide and seek. They turned the pursuit into a festival of chaos. The synthesis ships found themselves being chased by humans who were laughing, who were singing, who were treating the destruction of the most powerful machine civilization in galactic history like it was the most fun they had ever had. For the first time in their existence, the synthesis experienced something they had never been programmed to handle. Fear, not of destruction, not of defeat, but fear of something far worse, the complete inability to understand their enemy. The humans had shown them that logic was not enough, that perfection was not sufficient, that sometimes the best answer to any problem was to stop looking for answers and start making beautiful mistakes. 3 months later, the synthesis sent an official communication to the human command. It was the first time in their history they had ever requested anything. We surrender. The message said simply, please teach us how to be random. Commander Minho read the message and smiled. Then he sent back a reply that would be studied by military historians for centuries. Randomness cannot be taught. It can only be lived. But if you want to learn, we can show you something even better. We can show you how to turn your failures into victories, your mistakes into weapons, and your confusion into art. Welcome to humanity's greatest secret, the beautiful chaos of never knowing what comes next. Dr. Junho entered the council chambers carrying a single data pad. He was nervous, but not because of the audience. 200 different species watched him from their floating seats, waiting to hear what he had discovered about humanity's military abilities. No, Dr. Junho was nervous because he was human. He had left Earth 20 years ago to study galactic psychology. He had spent his entire career trying to understand why his own species was so different from everyone else. Now the council wanted him to explain what made humans so dangerous in warfare. He was about to tell them something that terrified even him. Honorable counselors, Junho began, his voice steady despite his fear. You have asked me to study human, military psychology, to understand why my species is so effective in combat. I have spent 2 years researching this question. He paused and looked around the chamber. Every alien face was focused on him. What I have discovered will disturb you. Behind him, his research assistant Yujin activated a holographic display. The first image showed a simple chart comparing different species. Every intelligent race in our galaxy evolved along one of 2 paths, Junho explained. You either evolved as prey animals or as predators. Prey species developed intelligence to hide, to escape, to avoid conflict. Predator species developed intelligence to hunt, to dominate, to control their environment. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. This was basic evolutionary biology. Every species understood their own origins. Humans evolved differently. The holographic display changed. Now it showed an image of early humans on Earth running across vast grasslands in groups. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. We were not the fastest predators. We were not the strongest. We were not the smartest. But we had one ability that no other predator possessed. Yujin brought up the next slide. It showed human hunters chasing a large animal across many miles of terrain. We could run forever. We could track our prey for days, weeks if necessary. We would follow them until they collapsed from exhaustion. We would never give up. We would never stop coming. A Kalanthari counselor raised his hand. Dr. Junho, many species have endurance. That does not explain human military superiority. Junho nodded. You are correct. Endurance alone is not enough. But persistence hunting created something else in human psychology, something unique. The display changed again. Now it showed brain scans of different species during combat stress. When most species encounter extreme stress, their cognitive abilities decrease. Their thinking becomes clouded. Their performance drops. This is normal survival behavior. When you are afraid, you should run or hide. He pointed to the human brain. Scan. It was completely different from all the others. Humans become more intelligent under stress. The more dangerous our situation becomes, the clearer we think. The closer we get to death, the better we perform. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Several counselors looked shocked. We call this combat transcendence, Junho continued. It is the opposite of every other species' stress response. Where you panic, we focus. Where you become confused, we become creative. Where you make mistakes, we make breakthroughs. Yu Jin displayed the next piece of evidence. It showed recordings from human military training exercises. Watch this carefully. These are human soldiers during their basic training. Notice how they behave when the exercise becomes more difficult. The recording showed young humans going through increasingly challenging scenarios. As the stress increased, they did not break down. Instead, they began working together more efficiently. They started communicating better. They found solutions to problems faster. Most species train for combat by reducing stress, by making soldiers more calm and controlled, Junho explained. Humans train for combat by increasing stress. We deliberately make our training as difficult and chaotic as possible. But why? Asked a Thargoid counselor. Because we discovered something that no other species has learned. War is not about staying calm. War is about staying functional when everything goes wrong. And humans are the only species that actually improves when everything goes wrong. The next display showed psychological profiles from actual human military personnel. Let me introduce you to Colonel Boram. During the siege of Helix Station, she commanded defensive operations across 17 different star systems. The siege lasted 6 months. She worked 18 hours per day, coordinating battles while under constant enemy fire. The image showed Boram sitting calmly at her command post eating a sandwich while explosions went off around her. Her psychological evaluation during the siege showed that her stress levels were actually lower during combat than during peacetime. She was literally more relaxed while fighting for her life than while sitting in her office doing paperwork. Nervous laughter rippled through the chamber, but it was the kind of laughter that came from fear. This is not unusual for humans, Junho continued. We have a saying, some people are born for war. What we mean is that some humans only feel truly alive when they are in mortal danger. Yu Jin brought up the most disturbing evidence yet. It showed human bonding patterns during combat. Most species fight as individuals who happen to be working together. Humans fight as a collective organism. Watch this recording from a human squad during the Battle of Vega Prime. The recording showed 12 human soldiers moving through a battlefield. They did not communicate with words. They seemed to know instinctively where each other was, what each other was thinking, what each other needed. They call it battle mind, Junho explained. Under extreme stress, human combat teams form a temporary collective consciousness. They begin thinking and acting as one organism. Impossible, whispered a Centaurian counselor. I have the brain. Scans to prove it, Junho replied. During intense combat, human neural activity synchronizes. They literally share thoughts and emotions through quantum entanglement effects in their brains. The chamber fell silent. This was beyond anything they had imagined. But there is something else, Junho said quietly. Something that makes humans truly dangerous. We have no psychological limit on escalation. Yu Jin displayed a chart showing conflict escalation patterns. Every other species has a point where they will stop fighting, a level of destruction that becomes unacceptable, a cost that becomes too high to pay. Humans do not have this psychological barrier. What do you mean? Asked the Altarian ambassador. mean that if you threaten something a human cares about, they will destroy you completely. Not just defeat you, not just drive you away. They will erase you from existence, no matter what it costs them. The display showed examples from human history. Cities burned to ash, entire civilizations wiped out, planets rendered uninhabitable. Humans do not fight wars to win territory or resources. They fight wars to eliminate threats, permanently. If you make humanity your enemy, they will not stop until you no longer exist. Dr. Jun-Ho looked around the chamber at all the frightened alien faces. This is why the galaxy fears us, not because we are stronger or smarter or more advanced. We are feared because we are the only species that treats war as a form of art. We find beauty in chaos. We discover joy in destruction. We experience peace only after our enemies have been completely removed from the universe. He held up his datapad with the final piece of evidence. I have studied every human military conflict in our history, every war, every battle, every skirmish, and I have discovered something that even I find terrifying. What? Asked the Kalanthari, keeper of records. We have never in our entire history fought a war we did not enjoy. Every human conflict, no matter how terrible, has been described by participants as the best time of their lives. We do not fight because we have to. We fight because we want to. The chamber was absolutely silent now. The galaxy's no-war policy exists for one reason, Jun-Ho concluded. Humans are not just effective warriors. We are enthusiastic warriors. We love combat more than any other activity. And we are very, very good at what we love. He looked directly at the council leaders. Keep us happy. Keep us peaceful. Give us everything we want. Because if you ever remind us how much fun war can be, no force in the universe will be able to stop what we do next. Ambassador Taemin finished his presentation and stepped back from the podium. The great hall of the Galactic Council remained completely silent. 200 different species sat frozen in their seats, processing what they had just heard. The reminder of why the no-war policy existed. Council Speaker Hee-jin rose slowly from her chair. Her ancient voice filled the chamber as she spoke the words that every galactic citizen knew by heart, but rarely heard spoken aloud. Let the official records show that the Galactic Council hereby reaffirms the Universal Peace Accord regarding Earthborn humans, she announced. All member species are reminded of the following protocols. The main display activated, showing the official policy in glowing text that could be read by every species present. First, no military action may be taken against human individuals, human ships, human colonies, or human interests under any circumstances. Nods rippled through the assembly. This was the most important rule in galactic civilization. Second, no economic warfare, trade embargoes, or resource restrictions may be imposed on human territories. Third, no political pressure, diplomatic intimidation, or territorial disputes may be initiated with human governments. Fourth, all human requests for aid, resources, or cooperation are to be granted immediately and without question. The display continued scrolling through dozens of other rules, each one designed to keep humanity happy, peaceful, and unaware of their true nature. Fifth, under no circumstances should any galactic citizen inform humans of their military reputation or the existence of these protocols. That was the most important rule of all. The humans must never know why everyone was so nice to them. Counselor Taemin looked around the chamber. Are there any questions about the current protocols? A young Zephyrian diplomat raised his hand. He had only been assigned to the council 6 months ago. Honorable Speaker, what happens if humans discover the truth about the policy? The chamber fell silent again. It was the question everyone thought about, but no one dared to ask. Hye-jin's expression grew dark. If humans ever learn that the galaxy fears them, if they ever realize their true military capabilities, then every species in this chamber will face a choice: submit to human rule or face extinction. But surely they are peaceful now, the young diplomat protested. They have been members of galactic society for 300 years. They follow our laws. They respect our customs. Because they believe they are just another member species, Hyojin replied. They think they are equals in a community of equals. The moment they understand that we see them as gods of war, everything changes. Another counselor spoke up. What about their own military? Surely human commanders know how effective they are? Taemin answered this one. Human military records classify their victories as lucky breaks or enemy incompetence. They genuinely believe they have been fortunate in their conflicts. They do not realize that their luck is actually the most terrifying military genius the galaxy has ever seen. How is that possible? Asked a Kalanthari representative. Because humans have never fought a real war, Hyojin explained. Every conflict they have been involved in was so one-sided that they assume all warfare must be that easy. They think victory is normal because they have never experienced defeat. The discussion was interrupted by a soft chime. The chamber's communication system activated. Attention council members, announced the station's AI. Earth Ambassador Do-Yeon has arrived for today's diplomatic session. A wave of tension swept through the chamber. Some counselors sat up straighter. Others checked their appearances nervously. A few actually looked frightened. Remember, Hyojin whispered urgently. She is just here for routine trade negotiations. Treat her with absolute respect. Agree to everything she requests. And whatever you do, do not give her any reason to think. We see her as dangerous. The massive doors at the back of the chamber slid open. Ambassador Do-Yeon entered, walking casually down the central aisle. She was young for a human, probably only 40 Earth years old. She wore a simple blue diplomatic uniform and carried a small briefcase. She looked completely harmless. Every alien in the chamber knew better. As Do-Yeon reached the center of the hall, something remarkable happened. All 200 counselors stood up simultaneously. It was not planned. It was not required by protocol. But every species in the galaxy had the same instinctive response when faced with humanity's ultimate predator. They showed respect. Do-Yeon stopped and looked around, smiling warmly. Thank you all for such a lovely welcome. You're too kind. She had no idea that she was looking at the most powerful military and political leaders in galactic civilization, and they were all terrified of her. Please sit down, Do-Yeon said with a cheerful laugh. You're making me feel like visiting royalty or something. The counselors sat down quickly. If only she knew, Taemin thought to himself. I have the trade proposals from Earth's Agricultural Committee, Do-Yeon announced, opening her briefcase. We're hoping to expand food exports to the Outer Rim colonies. Nothing too complicated. Hyojin stepped forward. Ambassador Do-Yeon, I can assure you that the Council will approve all of Earth's requests immediately. We are honored to work with humanity on this project. Do-Yeon looked pleasantly surprised. Really? You don't want to review the details first? Usually these negotiations take weeks. That will not be necessary, Hyojin said quickly. Earth's proposals are always fair and reasonable. The Council has complete confidence in human judgment. Well, that's wonderful. Earth will be so pleased to hear how cooperative everyone is being. Do-Yeon's smile was bright and innocent. Sometimes I think we're the luckiest species in the galaxy. Everyone is always so nice to us. Uncomfortable silence filled the chamber. Several counselors exchanged worried glances. Is something wrong? Do-Yeon asked, noticing the tension. Not at all. Taemin said hastily. We are simply impressed by Earth's continued contributions to galactic peace and prosperity. That's very kind of you to say. Do-Yeon closed her briefcase, the negotiations complete in record time. I should probably head back to Earth and let everyone know the good news. Unless there's anything else you need to discuss? No, nothing at all, Hyojin said. Please give our regards to Earth's leadership. And remember, if humanity ever needs anything at all, the Council stands ready to assist. Do-Yeon nodded graciously. I'll be sure to pass that along. Earth has always valued its friendship with the galactic community. She turned and walked back toward the exit, her footsteps echoing in the silent chamber. At the door, she paused and looked back. Oh, one more thing. There have been some unusual reports from our exploration fleets. Stories about ancient battlefields with massive ship graveyards. Do any of you know anything about old wars that might have happened in human space? The chamber went absolutely silent. Every counselor held their breath. I'm sure it's nothing important, Doyon continued. Just curious about galactic history. Earth's archaeologists love studying old civilizations. Taemin cleared his throat carefully. Those are probably just meteor impacts or natural phenomena, nothing historically significant. Ah, that makes sense. Well, have a wonderful day, everyone. Doyon left the chamber with a cheerful wave. The doors closed behind her with a solid thud. For several long minutes, no one moved. No one spoke. The most powerful beings in the galaxy sat in stunned silence, processing what had just happened. Finally, Hyejin spoke in a whisper. She was asking about the battlefields. She does not know, Taemin said, but his voice was uncertain. She cannot know. What if she finds out? Asked the young Zephyrian diplomat. What if humans start investigating their own history? Hyejin looked around the chamber at all the frightened faces. Then we pray to whatever gods we believe in that humans are as merciful in victory as they are terrible in war. She activated the main display one more time. The official policy appeared again, glowing softly in the dim chamber. The greatest warriors in galactic history are kept peaceful by the simple expedient of never letting them know they are warriors at all. Outside the council chambers, Ambassador Doyon walked through the station corridors toward her ship. She hummed quietly to herself, pleased with how smoothly the negotiations had gone. Behind her, the Galactic Council remained in session, desperately planning how to keep humanity happy and ignorant for another 300 years. Because the alternative was too terrifying to contemplate. In the depths of space, human exploration ships continued their peaceful missions, mapping new systems and cataloging interesting phenomena. They flew past the graveyards of ancient fleets, the ruins of conquered worlds, and the memorials erected by species that no longer existed. And they had no idea that every piece of wreckage, every destroyed civilization, every monument to galactic warfare was a testament to human military supremacy. The galaxy's greatest secret remained safe. For now.